What up, nerds? Welcome back to the Nerdy Narrative. My name is Leslie, and today I am going to tell you about the most disappointing book I have read this year so far. I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, but Leslie, you've already done a review on The Sword of Shannara. You're right. Today I'm actually talking about the Altantis Bloodline by C.A. Gray. This book came out, I believe, on March 2nd of this year. I was looking around on Book Sirens and I saw it listed, read the blurb, sounded very interesting, and I have always been fascinated with the lost city of Atlantis. I saw it, I read the synopsis, and I was like, man, that sounds really interesting. I applied for it, and a few days later I was approved. I don't have a physical copy of the book because I read it on I got the electronic version from Book Sirens, so I will slap up a picture of the cover for you to look at. It is a very interesting cover. Now that I've read the book, it does 100%. It is a very good physical representation of the story. So I love the cover. The synopsis, we already know I like the synopsis because that's what sold me on wanting to read this book. Briefly summarize, the main characters of this book are Ada Edwards and Kyson Hughes. He goes by Kai. We also focus on Kai's sister Esme for a bit later in. We begin the story. It is told from Ada's point of view, and the first 20% of the book was absolutely amazing. I was so drawn in by this book. I mean, I was captivated, just sold hook, line, and sinker. So the funny thing is, I started reading this book when I was reading Malice by John Glenn, and I freaking loved Malice. But when I started reading the Atlantis Bloodline in the midst of Malice, I actually didn't want to put the Atlantis Bloodline down to go back to Malice. So that is how much I love this book. Just to give you a unit of measurement of my enjoyment. Now we get 20% in and we switch over, and the story is now being picked up and told from Kai's point of view. No problem, we get new material. We find out in the first 20% of the book is where Ada and Kai meet. Basically, they fall in love. Yes. It is a YA romance, so they fall in love after knowing each other for one day. Totally unrealistic, doesn't matter, I loved it. Their love story really evoked some strong feelings in me. It actually sparked some memories that I had forgotten about when I was a teenager. Kai is an international rock star, and Ada, at this point, for all intents and purposes, she is just an ordinary teenage girl. So when Kai starts coming around and flirting with her, giving her tickets to see one of his shows, him singling her out for attention, just the way that she feels about it, the fairy tale quality of it, it just felt so good. The way that the author writes Ada and Kai's relationship had that same quality feeling as that memory from, as soon as that memory popped in my head when I was reading this book, I immediately remembered every detail and exactly how I felt in that moment. And that is what that first part of the book elicited for me. And I just absolutely, it was wonderful. It was so wonderful. And at this point, the author has touched me deep. She's got me. I am all in. But here's where things start to change. So after that first 20%, where Kai and Ada meet and basically fall in love, we switch over and the story is now being told from Kai's point of view. Okay, no big deal. We get new information. We are now finding out why Kai actually did single Ada out. And it was not because he saw a pretty girl walk by and had to get to know her. No, he's got ulterior motives. So we get new material. We get his backstory and why he actually did approach her. Now, at this point, the author proceeds to retell the first 20% of the book again, but from Kai's perspective. We didn't need that. We had literally just read it. We didn't need it told from somebody else's perspective because there was literally no additional information given that was needed for the plot. None. After we find out what Kai's true intentions are, which he is part of this elite organization that is called the Eliod? I don't know how to pronounce it. And they are a society of people who have magical abilities. And they are all descendants of one of the 7 daughters of, I don't know, they kind of confuse me about who they go by. Like at some points they say Zeus, Poseidon, and Hades are 3 different people. And sometimes they seem to believe that they're all one person. They are his descendants through his 7 daughters, and they have found and reconnected 5 bloodlines of the daughters, but they are looking for 2. The bloodline of Maya and the bloodline of Electra. Ada comes from Maya's bloodline. The plot has been established at this point. Then we have this weird break in the story. I'm assuming the author is trying to, like, she set up a timeline and then realized, oops, I had all this stuff happen, but I need these several months to pass for the next part of the timeline to make, to finish out the story. She wastes time. The information at this point was completely unneeded. Like, if you took that section of the book out, the story would not have any interruption. It would still flow perfectly. And when I was reading it, I was like, this is stupid. This is boring. I've lost interest. I thought, well, surely there's something in here that is going to tie in to the end of the book. It's going to be crucial to the ending. But that was not the case at all. It's completely unneeded. It was a waste of time. And it was like, there's no purpose for it. Why did you even waste your time doing this? Why didn't you just, skip forward? I don't understand. Around that time period, we bring Kai's sister Esme kind of into focus, and some of the story is told from her point of view. Okay, so we get to the ending of the book. There is a lot of action. There's a lot of interesting things that happen. There is, as the title says, the Atlantis bloodline. So the city of Atlantis plays a part. That part was really beautiful. The world was stunning. Oh my gosh. There was so much potential that was untapped. I'm torn. If she were to turn this into a series and put out another book, I'm curious to read it because maybe she'll expand on all of this untapped potential, but then I'm also like, she kind of burned me on this one, so don't know. Really and truly, I only enjoyed about 25% of the book. I only gave this one a 2-star. I gave it a 2-star because it has so much potential that was there. It just wasn't utilized. Have you read this book? Would I recommend this book? No. I can't in good conscience recommend it. I can't say, please go read this book so I can talk to you about it and see what you think about it. I just can't get behind it. I felt like I wasted a pretty good amount of time on it, but I wanted to finish it to see if it was going to come back to the same caliber that it was in the first 20%. It almost did, but not enough to redeem that whole book. It had such an amazing start. I was so disappointed in the ending. I think it's also partly to blame for my little reading slump I experienced. I was so uninterested in it. I didn't want to pick it up. And then I didn't want to pick up anything else because I was like, no, I really need to finish this book because I want to be able to give it an honest review on Book Sirens. Maybe I did this to myself because the other day I was like, dang, I am rating every book like 4 and 5 stars. Like, people are going to think that I am not an honest reviewer because they're going to be like, there's nothing she doesn't like. There are books I don't like. I just don't read them. I don't like it, I'm not going to read it. But I will leave you with those thoughts on the Atlantis bloodline. If by chance you are interested in reading this book, please remember me. Come back, let's talk. Let's see if we agree on some of these things or if maybe you have a different viewpoint. I would love to hear it. There has been lots of times I had an opinion on something, someone else hit me with a different way of looking at it, which changed my opinion. It happens. I would love to talk with you about it. If you've read it or after you read it in the future, Have a fantastic rest of your day, guys, and I'll see you